the can of Coke was like $3. Was it pre
Must have been
2010?
It must have been on the Upper East Side or something.
Were you in Times Square? Because I've definitely bought in cans of Coke for like $1.50.
No,
Yes,
this
you
was a
see what I'm saying?
$3 can of Coke.
Yeah, see, he's saying
This is
prices
a
I can't
tourist.
even.
That's a tourist trap.
Yeah,
I
was like
still
a-
pay $1.50 for a can.
Yeah, I think somebody
That's
hustled him.
Well, what's a
150
can of Coke in Buffalo? Is it 50 cents?
it's definitely not 150.
Is it $1?
So no, it's probably less. So
Less than $1?
I think
well,
it
yeah,
was,
because those like a bottle of Coke is like $1.29.
What?
No,
Hold
that's
on. No, that's impossible.
No, that's about what $1 of
Yeah,
Coke
that's
was.
that's
Like,
what you can get that. You can get that here.
Yeah.
Really?
well,
Yeah.
that's what it was last summer when I was dog sitting for my mom. Like a bottle of Coke was like $1.29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So if that's $1.29, I mean, you could probably get it for like 75 cents or something. But I feel like normally it might be like $1.
Where can you get a bottle of Coke for $1.29 in here?
I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about upstate.
Nope, Flav said here.
Oh, whoops. I may have jumped. I may have jumped
Yeah, but
on that one.
you know how it's funny, like with consumerism, right? So like the personal bottle of Coke will be like $1.29, and like the 2-liter will be like
$1.
yeah,
For like $1.50 or something.
two for $2. You know what I mean, or you know, something like that, and it'll be a
That's so
2-liter.
true.
I never fall for that. I'd rather pay more for less.
Really? See,
I
I'd
can't
rather pay
drink
less
2
for
liters
more.
of Coke. That's ridiculous. Sometimes I just want like 3 sips. I'm not gonna pay.
Well, yeah, especially if you're walking around the city and like going up all these steps, like up and down all these crazy steps. You're gonna carry around a huge bottle with you. That's gonna be kind of crazy.
Yeah, but you live in New York, right? There's always someone who's thirsty for a Coke that probably can't buy a Coke.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
go
probably
down.
true.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The time, like whenever you're looking for someone to
You
give
don't
away
find
your
them.
free food to, you don't find them. It's just.
You know,
They show up when you're not looking.
Once I was on the
happy.
train, and there's this woman that has like her spiel. I've seen her for years. Her spiel's like, I'm hungry, I'm homeless. And like, when you think of a crackhead, that's what she looks like. And I'm not trying to like be.
I think I know what lady you're talking
Yeah.
about.
She
So
said,
one
I'm
day-
hungry, I'm homeless. It was like a mantra.
So one day she was on the train, and like someone was like, oh, she's hungry. And then they gave her food, and she immediately was like, oh, no, thank you. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
she's clearly looking for money for drugs. And that's why I don't trust homeless people in the city, because a lot of the times they aren't looking for food. They are looking for money for drugs.
I have a really good story about that one.
Mhm.
I don't know if I told you this one before, but there was like 10 years ago, like, or so, like, Misha was on the train and some guy came through asking for like bread and butter.
Uh-huh.
Or asking, no, what it was is he said he was asking for money so he could get bread and butter for his family. And then, so then he said, he asked in English and then he repeated it in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Well, the word for butter in Spanish is mantequilla.
Uh-huh.
And the guy had like a Freudian slip and he accidentally said pan y tequila instead of pan y mantequilla.
What
So
a pan tequila.
No, pan is the Spanish word for bread.
Oh, bread and tequila?
So he said, so he intended to say pan y mantequilla, which is bread and butter in Spanish. And he said pan y tequila because he had like a Freudian slip. And then, so then later on, like, I think like they were getting close to the last stop and like this dude and his friend and Misha were like the only 3 people on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys start talking in Spanish about how like, man, that was a really good haul tonight, but you know, that was horrible. We slipped. We said pan and tequila. I hope nobody caught it. But, and figured out our true intentions ostensibly, but they were all saying this was all in Spanish, them thinking, oh, this other guy on the train's a white guy, he's not going to understand no Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Misha understood them perfectly, and so he was about ready to go up to them and say, well, why didn't you say something? Like, you actually wanted to buy a pint of tequila? Come on, I'll take you to the bar.
Were they like alcoholics or?
I think so. But they were trying to like make it seem like, you know, that they were trying to get food to feed their families. And then they were talking about what they were doing, basically. Like they were talking about the fact that they were ostensibly scamming people, but they were talking in Spanish, thinking that nobody understood around them would understand them. It's like the only other person in the train car was Misha, and he looks so white. Like, so he wouldn't understand them. So their dumbasses got served.
Oh.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't know. I wish they just wouldn't tell me what they want change for. You know, just ask for change. You know, if I have it, I'll give it to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, you know, don't say I need it for food and I know you're going to go get, I mean, I'll just give it to you anyway. If I have it, it's change. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we don't have to insult each other's intelligence or anything. You know what I'm saying? Just tonight, I gave somebody change. She's always at the store. And I think she uses drugs. But every time I give her change, she goes in the store and buys like bags of potato chips.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
If I saw that, I wouldn't feel bad. But it's just so many experiences where I've seen people.
I mean, I don't know if I would worry so much about like giving someone 50 cents or something, because like it's not like they're gonna like buy enough heroin to overdose like with 50 cents.
Well, like, they're not going after one person gives them money. They're
I mean, I guess that's true. Like it adds up. That's
I don't want to contribute to that. They need to get help.
So you're saying like if someone's asking for money for drugs, like you gave them.
Well, they're not going to outright say, I'm trying to get a bag of heroin, so give me 50.
You would feel like an enabler, though, if they were using it to get a bag of heroin.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I've been in both camps, I think. And that's where I got to the point where it's like, because I've been in both camps where I felt that way. I knew, like, I'd be on the block and I know what you're asking me money for because you want to go buy crack or what have you. But then I've seen enough people that, and I know you're going to drink. Or I know but I've seen, every once in a while someone actually gets something to eat. And so my thought process, because I used to think that way. And my thought process was, well, what if this time you really are hungry? Yeah, you use drugs. Yeah, you drink. Yeah, but what if you really are you already had your fix and now you're just hungry? You know what I mean? So,
but if you really want to take it there, I mean,
go buy them food.
Well, yeah. Well,
I've given food away. I just don't want to.
I've done that before, and I've gone on long walks where people kept like spinning yarns, and this woman kept telling me she couldn't eat any of the food I was trying to buy her, and like this and that, and she wouldn't tell me what she wanted, and it was obvious like she just wanted it for something else, or like there's the trick where someone is like, oh, I don't even want money, buy me some formula. I figured out formula was way more expensive than I thought it was. And then B, like they just sell the formula back and buy what they want. So
who's buying formula off the street though?
It's expensive. So if you buy it from them, it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, they sell it cheaper. Okay.
Yeah. So there's that.
Check the back.
So it's like a formula hustle. It's like an infamil hustle going on.
Yeah. So. But the other thing is, if you think about it, like if you're an alcoholic and you don't get your drink, you could die.
Yeah.
So like you could be like out there saving lives by giving people money. And I feel like in this day and age, people might be more likely to give you money if you just tell them, yeah, I'm gonna like buy a 40 or I'm gonna buy, some liquor. Like people.
Here's the thing, like some of the cheap beers are not expensive to buy, so I don't feel like it's hard for them to come up with the money for that. It's kind of like the harder drugs, which aren't expensive either, but I just don't want to be that person.
I feel you. I feel you.
I know there are plenty of other people who will probably give them the money, so I don't have to be one of them.
So you don't think
I feel
about
you.
how many alcoholics you've killed over the years by not providing
Oh
them
my,
with.
I do not think
Mike.
about that, no. I don't lose sleep over it.
Mike, she sounds like me, Mike. They hit me the other day with, yeah, we're talking about redistribution of wealth, and we think that you qualify as the middle class because
Mhm.
you know we're going to take your house, and you know your daughter goes to college, so we figure we can just come. How would you say it, Mike?
Well, so he came in. So he came in late, and the first thing he says is like, "Yeah, I agree with everything that you've been saying." So of course I took that as an opportunity to be like, "Great." So we've been saying, you know, we're going to redistribute the wealth. We're going to start by taking the homes of like the middle class. And he's like, "Well, what makes you
That's
think?"
not redistributing the wealth.
Well, yeah,
But we
We're
had
gonna
to
take
buy
it-
our emergency.
we're going to take it from one group and give it to the other.
And
Yeah,
they
you don't
chose.
take from the middle class, you take from the wealthy.
Listen, this was my thought, but I went with it. I ran with it. I'm like, because I was the target, and I don't even consider myself middle class, so I just kind of ran with it. You know, I'm like, okay.
Well, see,
I'm
this
just
is
in
you live,
turn.
you live and you learn. I mean,
In turn,
this
I'm
is
going
our
to find
first-
some old people.
Yeah, exactly. So he's passing it up he's gonna in turn go up to
On
the
their way
upper,
out the door.
upper middle.
Oh my
No,
god.
no,
Yeah,
just
so-
old people who are on their way
Oh,
out the
okay.
door, who
Okay.
don't need, who aren't gonna be alive to enjoy what little they have much longer. And I'm just gonna take it from them and help them on to the next. You know, that's what I do. If we're redistributing wealth, and you can just gonna come, be like, yeah, I'm taking your house, and I'm poor. Like Mike, I'm poor. Mike's like, no, you're not poor, dude. I'm poor.
A real distribution of wealth would be how the trickle-down economy is supposed to work. The rich's wealth trickles down to the middle class, and then it trickles down to the lower.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not I mean, we're talking about a redistribution, right? Like, first of all, like obviously that's just a fake thing anyway. But when you're talking about redistribution, it's usually a little more shaking things up than like a trickle. That's like someone's going to be a little scared and someone's going to feel a little put out by a redistribution.
What Mike is saying is everybody
He's
arm
wrong.
up, go to the rich people and be like, yo, give me right now. Empty your pockets.
Not
be
take
good with it.
everything from them, but
Well, no, you can keep what's in your pockets. I just want your house and
you're
And
going
your
too
yacht.
far, Slave. That's why it doesn't work. The wealthy people are like, no, this is mine. I worked for it.
Yo, I'm with you. Like I'm with you. Like
And you
yo,
talk
Mike,
about a little bit, like 1% would do so much for people below them.
Mike was like, I want it all. Like
no, I don't.
want
I
it
don't.
all, but
I don't want it all. I want you to keep what's in your pockets. I want the house.
Slave, come on.
And Michael rationalized it too. He'd be like, Ish, you know how many people can live in that house?
Or I mean, come on, like
you know how many people that house can heat?
they're not going to just give us. They're not going to just give us reparations. I mean, we have to start being a lot bolder. Like this whole like begging for chips thing isn't working. You know, like we should learn from the French. We should learn from these other revolutions and start getting on the ball. Like this whole playing it safe thing just isn't working.
Yeah, I'm not signing up for that.
Hey, that's all right. When you see me living in my house, you know, don't get jealous.
Slave, how are you going to take it from these rich people? I want
What's
to
that?
know. How
Say
are you
what?
going to take this house from the rich people?
Well, you know, I'll talk to some folks that are well-to-do and feeling bad about their status, and you know, who
No one
realize
feels
that
bad
things
about their status. Are you kidding me?
you run into a few.
Do you
Well,
remember?
maybe not bad. Maybe guilty. Maybe class
No
guilt.
fucking rich person feels
Woe is me. I can afford things. Oh, poor me.
Especially the people that work for their money, they're not going to feel guilty about it because they worked for it. If you inherited
Well,
it, then maybe I can see that, but
Okay, so
they
that's
grew up in that lifestyle, so
that's
they don't.
Somebody
feel
is
it.
preaching.
That's
Somebody
where we
is
start
preaching,
then.
Mike.
That's
I'm
where we
just
start
saying.
then, with the
I'm
inheritance.
signing up for this.
No.
Plus,
Do
like,
you remember, Cynthia, when that time when Jenna was canvassing in Scarsdale and like some guy actually told her at the door that like he didn't have to worry about climate change because his kids were raised with a silver spoon in their mouth and he could buy their way out of it. Like he literally said that.
Yeah. Some people are just so delusional, especially if you're like raised in wealth. You don't even know that you're wealthy because you're surrounded by everyone who's wealthy. So to you, it's like, oh, this is just normal life.
yeah.
I'm not wealthy. I'm just normal. Wait, you don't have a movie theater in your house? What?
Right.
You don't have a pool? You don't have a forest to call your own?
So that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
Mike? You want the movie theater, the in-home movie theater?
Not necessarily. But I'm not averse to it. I mean, I like.
So
movie
what's your realistic idea of redistribution of wealth?
Yeah.
My realistic. You want me to like?
Yeah, not this whole go to your house and you can have what's in your pocket.
I mean,
I'll
the
take everything
realistic.
else.
Well, I mean, realistically, we'd start with reparations. We'd start from there. That would be A. That would be a big A. Start with reparations. That'd be a nice chunk.
That doesn't account for everybody though, right? That just accounts for like ADOS.
That's going to be a piece of it, and then you move on to Native American folks, and then you move on to taxing the rich, reversing, making sure that corporations are like paying their fair share instead of like all the loopholes and all that stuff. But like Cynthia was saying, even if you like get like 1% of what they have, that's going to be plenty. Like taxing speculation, you can like tax speculation at 0.3%, and that's going to provide enough for transportation, education, and a lot more. That's like a lot. I mean, the fact that we could pay for all that stuff with literally less than 1% of what Wall Street is speculating on is insane that we're not. Some countries do, and even here, Republicans, some like prominent Republicans are in favor of taxing speculation. Generates a lot of funds. And then of course like legalization and taxation, things like that.
That's what I'd say. Like, there's a lot of talk going around about like, and that's why like a lot of my coworkers were really worried about people from the state showing up in the classroom, basically, because they're worried about like losing funds because the state's in a budget deficit because of the COVID, and they're
Right.
worried about losing education funds. Like, personally, I say like, why not like go to like the model of like legalizing marijuana and then taking and taxing it and taking that money and giving it back to the schools because
Now,
Yeah.
we need it.
what do you mean they're worried about the state showing up in your classroom?
Oh, you missed that part. Some of my coworkers had like state auditors come to their virtual classes on Zoom the other day, and it was just like they were going crazy because like they felt like the state was looking for like every reason to criticize and take money away from the schools.
Wow. So they actually just sat in on these live classes?
Like they sat in on like on the Zoom, like they requested the Zoom links from the administrators and sat in on these like live classes.
Oh wow.
And by this point, like if we were in the school building, the kids would be checked out. It's June. Like
Mhm.
they're like quadruple checked out now because school is all online.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there wasn't another one of those kids smoking a blunt
Oh
on the
God.
on the Zoom call.
This is why I tell my that was horrible, and it was so blatant too. Like the
So
kid
someone
was,
in your class just decided I'm at home, I'm online. Why not have a blunt?
basically. I mean, it wasn't my class. It was my coworker's class, but they were basically like, I'm online. I'm at home. Like, and this is a kid that like had at least enough common sense that he wasn't gonna like light up a blunt in like the center of the classroom if we were in school. But
Yeah.
he's like, I'm in my own house. No one can tell me what to do in my own house. Like, I think I'm gonna roll up a blunt.
I mean,
And
I
did-
might feel that way. I don't smoke anymore, but I might feel that way if I did.
I mean, he didn't even have the sense to turn his camera off.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, I would have turned the camera off.
exactly. Like, I flat out tell the kids, I'm like, you don't have to have your camera on. I'm not a fucking idiot. I know they're sitting at home smoking weed.
Yeah.
Realistically,
If you have
You
to
teach?
cough, go on mute.
yeah. Realistically, I would be doing the same thing.
Which grades do you teach?
Well, they're high schoolers, like, who dropped out and came back. So we're talking like 16, 17-year-old
Oh,
Okay.
ninth graders. So like their big thing is like, they're in like their Snoop Dogg phases. Like they're getting high all day, every day.
See, you know what? See, that's not as bad as what I was imagining. For some reason, I was imagining like some fifth grader like lighting up a blunt or something.
Nah. This is like a 17-year-old kid. So
Oh
it's like,
yeah.
it's more, I don't want to say understandable, like expected maybe.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
hypothetically, like, and it wasn't my rodeo because it wasn't my class. Hypothetically, I think the counselor might have actually had to call ACS because the kid was only 17, which is
Oh wow.
ADS.
child services,
Oh.
and reported the parents for neglect, like for the kid using drugs, like blatantly on screen, which is fucking stupid, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's where if you have like a good, do you record these sessions?
yeah, that's the problem. We have to we were expected to record the sessions for like those same state auditors to watch.
I see. I mean, how hard would it be for a kid to be like, sorry, that was just a cigar. You got it twisted. Like, is the court that sophisticated that they can tell?
Yeah, not hard at
difference?
all. There's plausible deniability, but there's even more plausible deniability if they turn off their cameras.
Yeah.
Right.
At one point,
I mean, it
stopped-
takes 30 days for it to completely get out of your system. So if they wanted to like drug test them, but you can also it's easy to beat a marijuana drug test.
well, yeah.
Yeah, and if you have a powerful enough lawyer, you can be like, screw you, you're not drug testing my kid.
Yeah,
You know, like-
I mean, I don't think that my students have the money for a powerful lawyer, unfortunately, but
Yeah. A mouthy, smart kid.
like, I mean, at one point, I just turned, like, I stopped the recording. I said to the kids, look, I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I know what you do. Like, it's not my business. Just, if I don't see it, like, it never happened. Just turn your cameras off.
Yeah.
But you can't guarantee that they're listening to you and paying attention if their cameras are off.
I mean, they still talk, though.
Oh, okay.
But, like, I'm just, like, I also tell them that because, like, I tell them they still have to talk or type in the chat box,
Mhm.
but, like, they don't necessarily have to have their cameras on. Just because,
Mhm.
I mean,
they're embarrassed. They could be embarrassed about their hair or like, something.
how many kids don't listen and pay attention when they're sitting in the classroom?
That too.
Yeah,
Like-
that's true.
But, I mean, I was just like, look, really, like, we're all stuck at home. do what you want to do. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm sitting at home smoking weed too.
So there's no requirement for them to keep the camera on?
Yeah, no, there's no requirement.
Hmm.
There's a requirement for us to keep the camera on in staff meetings, and my coworkers keep talking about wanting to like bring a drink on camera during a staff meeting, and I'm like, well, you do that. Some of the rest of us don't have that luxury.
Just put
Mm.
it in a,
Nobody
in a
knows
cup.
what's in your nobody knows what's in your drink.
No, that's not what I meant. You could bring a cup of like something and say whatever, it's juice.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious if you're smoking weed on camera.
Yeah.
And that's why I said to them, you guys have that luxury. I don't got that luxury on my end.
She's like, I'm not trying to drink, is what I'm saying. I'm trying to climb a tree. I can't do it on camera.
Exactly. Thank you. That's not like
I see.
Like-
You could do it off to the side.
Or like some edibles.
that's true. That's true.
Just be this cloud of smoke floating into the screen. You're like, don't mind me, I'm burning incense.
Blow it,
Oh,
blow
don't
it
mind.
behind the camera, then they don't see it.
Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Like I have a smoke condition in my apartment.
Actually, edibles totally make sense since you're gonna be working like all day.
Way too powerful. I do
I
not
was-
recommend.
I'm with her on that.
Well, yeah, you gotta dose it. You gotta dose it right.
Edibles
I
hit you
don't
out
know.
of nowhere.
For the first 2 months of COVID, I was like regularly having edibles because I didn't want to be like putting smoke in my lungs with the respiratory disease.
Uh,
So I
Oh, so you were brownies?
cookies, close enough.
Oh, yeah. I think cookies are better.
I accidentally hotboxed the kitchen.
What do you mean? How do you mean?
When I was making them.
Ah. You were getting in contact?
Well, let's just say that let's just say I left them in the oven for a little too long and smoke started to come out of the oven, and what was in and the ingredients were part of the smoke.
Oh, so you got high in the process.
Basically.
So what do you do? Like bake like a dozen cookies or?
Yeah. Like I'll bake like a dozen cookies and then like eat them like a quarter of a cookie at a time or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
I was
lot.
gonna say that look on your face, Cynthia.
what?
You were like making this like aghast look on your face.
No, I'm checking something right now. Okay.
So you teach as well, Cynthia?
No, I don't teach. I
Okay.
wouldn't be able to do that.
You don't have a
Emily does
no
that.
tolerance for them, no patience for them.
You don't have patience for children, Cynthia.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Especially high school kids. They think they're all bad. It's just fucking annoying. Like, imagine, I remember myself, like, I remember what seniors were like, juniors and seniors. They think they're the shit. And they're just so annoying. They don't listen. Actually, maybe the older kids are not as bad. It's
If
the
you
middle
remember,
school that are
the middle
worst.
school kids were
Oh.
horrible.
God, they're so bad.
If you remember this, when I met you, Cynthia, I can't believe this, but you were still in high school.
Oh my God. No, I had just graduated.
Or
That
like
was
you
the
had
summer
just
right
graduated.
Yeah. Oh my God, I was so young.
Well, we were all babies. Like,
yeah.
were,
Oh
like-
yeah, you were.
we were all babies. You were like 17 and I was like 22.
Oh my God, I never thought about that. Yeah. Holy shit, we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah. we've known each other for so long that like a teenager, a baby born when we met each other would be a teenager now.
Oh my God, you're right. They would be starting. They would be ending middle school, starting high school.
Yep.
Damn. And they would be a
So,
little shit.
what are your general class sizes, Emily?
Mine are like, well, it depends on how many people actually decide they want to show up. But
Mhm.
mine are actually pretty small. Like they're, because it's like alternative school, they're like 10 to 15 kids like any given day.
That's not bad at all.
That's going to be a blessing when we go back to the buildings and they tell us we have to social distance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are your classroom sizes the same size as you would have for like a 30-person class, 35-person?
Yeah, like it's a normal classroom size, but like my first period class, for example, like my students had a major propensity to be late for school,
Mm-hmm.
usually because they were getting high.
Uh,
But what would happen is that like my first period class, there would be some days where like I would literally have 3 people there.
mm-hmm.
So like they could easily like social distance from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and then they would like trickle in like as first period was going on. So by the end, I might have like 10, and that was a good day.
That's the So there's no requirement for them to show up. Is this like a program that they have to do in order to get their GED? Or is this
No, there's a requirement that they show up. They just choose to be absent.
So is it like the Buffalo alternative school? Is like, and the alternative schools in Buffalo are like, if you are a problem in regular school, you know what I mean? You know, you're violent or you get kicked out all the time or what have you. Your only option is to go to like so the alternative schools in Buffalo are the schools that nobody really wants to go to because all the kids there are bad.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of like the gist of it. Like a lot of like the kids in my school, like it's like where they go when their DOE school says tries to get rid of them. But some of our kids do have like probation officers and court records and whatnot.
Okay.
But
Jesus Christ. How bad are these kids?
Not that bad. But like others of them, like they just cut school a lot and their schools wanted them off the roster because they were fucking up their numbers basically.
Mm-hmm. That's so fucked up to give up on a kid instead of like trying to find ways to help them learn. You're just like, no, fuck out of here. You're ruining my image.
Well, yeah, and some of those kids are like really smart too. They were just like, they fell into like how going to high school in New York City is.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were just going to hooky parties all day instead of going to school.
And also sometimes a lot of kids that are like really smart tend to do bad in school because they're just bored. Like,
I was going to say that.
That's true too.
Oh, I already know this. This is like so easy. And like there has to be a way for schools to like evaluate someone to make sure that they're in the right grade or they're taking the right classes. I feel like I've never taken a class or like an assessment to show, you're in the right class, like for your level. They're just like, okay, this is how old you are. This is what grade you're in. That's it.
Well, it's real interesting because like when I was at school, like I was like when my birthday is, I was like in that like area where I could have gone either way. Like I could have gone into like the grade I was in or the grade below me.
Mm-hmm.
And like honestly, socially, I probably fit better with the grade below me. But like